The King R here, back once again with Madden Simulation. Double dose this time because it is Championship Sunday. We got the AFC and NFC Championship games first and foremost. We're going to start off with the AFC Championship game. And as usual, we're joining the game late in the third quarter because that's just how my capturing device wants to work. But enough of that. At the moment, right now, of course, we all know who's playing this Sunday in the AFC Championship game. We have the AFC South champions, Jacksonville Jaguars, taking on the AFC East champions, the New England Patriots. And at the moment, the Jacksonville is up 17-9, but we'll see how long that lasts. But hey, and on the other side, we will have the NFC North champions, Minnesota Vikings, versus the NFC East champions, Philadelphia Eagles. But I will get to that game when that game comes up. Anyways, let's dive right in. I mean, I know there's been some news and so forth around the league, but I'm not going to really focus on that this time around. I'm going to focus on the AFC Championship game, the two games that have the divisional round. Recap those real quick for the AFC side, then when we get to the NFC side, and go from there.
First down and 10 now for the offensive group.
Okay, first and foremost, we had the New England Patriots advancing to their, I want to say, sixth straight AFC Championship game, if not more than that, seventh. That's the AFC Championship game, because for the past, if not 6, 7, maybe 8th year in a row, the New England Patriots have played in the AFC Championship game. I mean, they went to Super Bowl 46, not 47, not 48. They went to 49. They didn't go to 50, but they went to 51. So do scroll down. This is their one. Yeah, this is their first and foremost. They've won 9 AFC Championship games, but they've played in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 AFC Championship games. The last time they were not in the AFC Championship game was the 2010 season, when it was the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the New York Jets. So, but from the 2011 season onward, they have played in the AFC Championship game. They played against. That's not. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, that's what that means. But in 2011, the Patriots took on Baltimore. The following year, they took on Baltimore again, but Baltimore won that time. The following season, they played, I believe, at Denver, lost. Then they host Indianapolis, they won. Then they went to Denver again, lost. And last year they hosted New England. They hosted the Steelers and won. And this year they get to host the game again, and they're playing Jacksonville. And Jacksonville, I believe, is only playing in their third AFC Championship game. But I mean, they've only been around since the 95 season. And ironically enough, they advanced to the AFC Championship game their second season of existence. And ironically, when they joined the league, the Carolina Panthers, the same year as them, they also made it to the NFC Championship game the same year. So only in 2 years of existence, we almost had a expansion team Super Bowl of the Jacksonville versus Carolina, but that did not happen. We had New England versus Green Bay in Super Bowl 31, and we all know what happened in that one. But Jacksonville made it to the AFC Championship game, their second year of existence, and it was in Foxborough, and they lost 20-6. They went back to the AFC Championship game just a few years later in the '99 season, but lost again to Tennessee 33-14. So really haven't had much luck in the championship game. I mean, they obviously are one of the few. They are one of 3 AFC teams that have never reached the Super Bowl. Them, Houston Texans, and the Cleveland Browns. Only the Cleveland Browns, one of the original teams of the AFL-NFL merger, that has not made it to the Super Bowl. They joined on the NFC side, the Detroit Lions. So every other team on the NFC side has made it to the Super Bowl besides the Detroit Lions. But we'll focus on the NFC Championship game when time comes. But moving on, we had obviously last week in the divisional round, the New England Patriots hosted the Tennessee Titans, and oh boy, the Titans didn't really have a chance because, one, they were playing in New England, and of course the Zebras were rooting for the Patriots as usual. And in all honesty, I didn't see much of that game. I heard and so forth. I know I'm a horrible sports fan by not sitting down and watching, but lately I've had some football fatigue, especially when your team's not in it and your team had a not horrible but less productive season than usual. You suffered that fatigue of, I really don't want to watch, but come this Sunday, Championship Sunday, I know I like to sit down and would like to watch both games. I'm going to sit down and watch the Super Bowl and move on from there.
First down, and he'll get about 3 as he's taken down at the 14-yard line.
But anyways, it always seems like, Patriot fans think the NFL's out to get them, everyone's out to get them, but yet everything bounced their way, so they're playing a double standard of hypocrisy. But I digress just a bit. New England took care of Tennessee 35-14, and Tennessee just didn't really have a chance by the looks of it. And like I said, apparently there were some questionable calls that obviously went New England's way. And they get the W and they move on to the AFC Championship game, like I said, for the 7th straight year in a row since the 2011 season, which is not an easy task. But in the AFC, it's been basically the same teams: New England, Pittsburgh. You had Indianapolis, Denver, and Baltimore, but lately they've been up and then they've been down. But the two constants as of late have been New England and Pittsburgh. And speaking of Pittsburgh, they host Jacksonville, one of the 3 teams that beat Pittsburgh this season. I believe it was week 5, and that was their second loss of the season, if I'm correct. And I believe because early, within the first 5 weeks, Pittsburgh went to Chicago, lost to Chicago, and then this game happened, and they were just, what's going on in Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh loses to Jacksonville. Well, you go back to last season. Jacksonville was supposed to be one of those surprise teams last year that was supposed to make that huge leap last year. But instead of taking 1 step forward, they took 2 steps back, and just was miserable and disappointing. Everyone thought they could win the South. They're young, they're talented. They saw what they did 2 years ago. But everyone giving Jacksonville a hard time. Blake Bortles, he's not your starter. Excuse me, you know, it's that time of year again where you think you got rid of a cold, but it's still there. But anyways, Jacksonville. You know, Blake Bortles, you gotta get a new quarterback. You know, sure he'll do so far. You know, your offense isn't that great. He's not a Super Bowl playoff caliber quarterback. Yes, your defense is incredible. Jacksonville. All you have to do is send, you know, rush 4 guys. Boom, you get to the quarterback. That gives you time for your linebackers and defense play coverage. You disrupt the quarterback. The quarterback throws crappy passes, and boom, interceptions. And, you know, I'm jealous. You know, that's why, you know, 3 of the 4 teams have, I want to say, mediocre quarterbacks because they have great defenses. Nothing against New England. I mean, beginning of the season, New England's defense wasn't that hot, and they lost some games, gave up so many points, and that's one of the reasons, because of their crappy defense. But anywho, back to Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, and that was a low-scoring game. Jacksonville won, I think, like it wasn't 10-3, but it was like 20-7 or something like that. And you know, Jacksonville got a late touchdown at the end. Blah blah blah. And you know, the Steelers didn't see another loss until the New England game, which, you know, we all know how that game turned out. So we meet in the playoffs, divisional round rematch. Pittsburgh is all fired up to get revenge on Jacksonville. Well, when Jacksonville jumps up to 21-7, 21-3, you know, doesn't look good. But Pittsburgh fought back. But in the end, it was, let's see, try to remember. Okay, let's see if I can find this real quick. Jacksonville, after only scoring 10 points the previous week, put up 45 up against Pittsburgh, but also gave up 42. Here we go. Jacksonville. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah. Jacksonville went up. Okay. Pittsburgh scored with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left to pull within 7. But, and I think they had at least 2 timeouts, 2 or 3 timeouts in the 2-minute warning. And the real question came down to, do you onside kick it or kick it deep? I mean, you have all timeouts, or 2 to 3 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning, and you have to rely on your defense. Well, Pittsburgh decided to go for the onside kick, and it was a miserable onside kick. I think it only went 5 yards, if that, and was recovered by Jacksonville. They went a few yards, kicked a field goal, and went up by 10. And and obviously Pittsburgh ended up losing 45-42. And here we are. We have New England versus Jacksonville. And the funny thing is, apparently some minority owners of the Pittsburgh Steelers want Tom Coughlin fired. And that's just funny. Just because of how he acted in the last 47 seconds or whatever of the AFC Championship game. You're down by 10, and apparently he didn't seem like he was in a rush. He was not hurrying at all, taking his time, and just lollygagging, so on and so forth. So, but if you really think Tom Coughlin should be fired, I think you're jumping the gun. They had like their 3rd best season, regular season, going 13-3. I know their best season they went 15-1, but they also lost to New England that year in the championship game, I think. But anywho, that's our matchup. is New England versus Jacksonville. And at the moment, let's see, Jacksonville just tied the game with 4:35 left, 2020. I mean, there's no doubt that I want to see Jacksonville win this game. Nothing against New England. It's just that I'm not a big fan of New England anymore. Never. The only time I was a fan of New England was one when they took on the Rams to win Super Bowl 30.
They go play action here on
6.
first down. Wide open.
Yeah, Super Bowl 36. Just because I wasn't a fan of the Rams anymore, but it comes and goes. You always want to root for the underdog. That's about the only time New England was the underdog. The only other time I rooted for the Patriots in the Super Bowl was when they took on Seattle back in Super Bowl 49 because the Seattle beat my team, the Packers, somehow, some way. But I digress just a little bit. I mean, I'm more or less rooting for Jacksonville in this game. I'm not going to hide it one way, shape, or form. I hope Jacksonville can get to the Super Bowl. If Jacksonville wins this game, we're definitely going to have a new Super Bowl champion for the first time ever, because both the Minnesota and Philly have been to the Super Bowl. Philadelphia has won an NFL championship, but none of those two teams have won a Super Bowl. But I'll get to the NFC side, like I said, when get that far. But it'll be interesting because, like I said, people say Blake Bortles, Jacksonville needs a new quarterback. Well, it'll be ironic if Jacksonville goes on, beats the Patriots, they go on, win the Super Bowl, and Blake Bortles does not come back. They get rid of Blake Bortles. And, I mean, like I said, this offseason, or this postseason, it shows that you don't need a MVP caliber quarterback. Look at Case Keenum. Look at Nick Foles. I mean, obviously, Carson Wentz, he's an MVP caliber quarterback, and he mainly got the Eagles where they are now. Nick Foles is just trying to finish it up. But then you also look at Jacksonville. They're with Blake Bortles. They're not MVP caliber quarterbacks. They get the job done. It's their defense that they're riding on, and everyone says the best offense is a good defense. And 3 of these 4 teams are showing that now. So other teams in the NFL, hey look, you don't always need a Tom Brady, an Aaron Rodgers, a Ben Roethlisberger. You can get away with. Look at Joe Flacco. Is he elite? Look at Eli Manning. Is he elite? I mean, you can't spell elite without Eli, but I think it was going to happen since Tom Coughlin's back in Jacksonville, where he was the head coach to start off for that franchise. He's he's not the GM, but he's like the president or something. I will be one to say I truly think that's going to happen, that Eli Manning gets traded or moved to Jacksonville, Blake Bortles is out, and Eli is your new quarterback in Jacksonville, because you know what? He doesn't have to worry about playing Peyton anymore against his brother, twice or once a year or whatever. But I really think I can really see Jacksonville win the Super Bowl. Blake Bortles maybe not named MVP, but has a stellar game, but he's out. So, I mean, not every team, like I said, needs a great quarterback. Needs a stellar quarterback to pull you out of everything. I mean, you just look at the Green Bay Packers when they did not have Aaron Rodgers anymore. Their defense, crumbled. Their offense couldn't sustain momentum to keep their defense off the field and score points. And when the offense can't score points, the defense is out there longer and tired and can't compete, and so on and so forth. But I digress just a bit, but I mean, just look around. Look around the league. You don't need that MVP style quarterback. You just need a decent quarterback that can get the job done. Doesn't have to be great. Doesn't have to be awesome. They can have outstanding performing games and lead you to the promised land. They're going to get all the credit because when they, the team succeeds, you only think of one person, but in all reality, it's the defense. I mean, look at the '85 Bears. I mean, was Jim McMahon really that great of a quarterback in the long run, short run? I mean, he has at least 2 Super Bowl rings, one as a starter and one as a backup. But it was their defense. The defense is what won them championships. So now, tune back in. New England is up 27-20, and Jacksonville just failed to get a 4th down. So New England's got the ball at Jacksonville's 33-yard line. So it doesn't look too good for Saxonville. At least Man doesn't think so. And the funny thing is, Madden's got the last 2 games right. Forget the regular season. Throw the regular season out there. We got 25 seconds left, and 4th and 2. They're going to go for a field goal. Kick is up, and it's good. New England now up by 10. So Madden really likes the New England Patriots, and it'll be ironic, Madden wasn't that accurate in the regular season. Postseason is where it's at, and hey, only time will tell, I guess. So Madden's predicting New England to win. Like I said, I hope Madden's wrong. I mean, to some degree, this is good for the NFL to see a dynasty. I don't like to use that term, but I mean, there's only been one constant in the NFL since the turn of the century. It's been Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, and the New England Patriots. I mean, that's been the constant team year in and year out. So they haven't missed the playoffs since the 08 season. I don't think they got to the AFC Championship game in 09, no, because it was Colts and Jets. So ever since they got back to the postseason, they've been to the postseason 9 straight years. They've been in the AFC Championship game for now 6 or 7 of those years, and it's just amazing how much success they still have. In all honesty, Bill Belichick will go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time because you stick anybody in his system, they'll thrive. And that's why I don't think Tom Brady is the greatest of all time because of that. Because you throw anyone in Bill Belichick's system, they'll thrive. But that's it for the AFC game. Men likes the Patriots. I like Jacksonville. Let's move on to the NFC Championship game, where we got the Minnesota Vikings, who are currently up 24-10 against the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Vikings, let's start with them. Well, first we dive back to last week. How did we get here? Eagles, they took care of the Atlanta Falcons, defending NFC champions. And let's get to that real quick. What was that final of that one? Come on. You have to love technology. Let's get to... Okay. Philly. in a miserable game, won 15-10 in a relatively, like I said, I didn't really watch too much of the games on Saturday. On Sunday, I watched the ending of both games, and well, wasn't too happy how the Minnesota-New Orleans game ended. I mean, also I didn't like how that game started, but Philly won 15-10. Then we move on to the Minnesota-New Orleans game. Minnesota just started fast. They started out of the block super fast, out of the gate, so on and so forth. Then, after halftime, New Orleans made a comeback. And with under a minute or so, Minnesota, they kicked the field goal. They tied the game. They took the lead. They went up 23-21. New Orleans gets the ball back. They march on the field. They get in field goal range. They kick a field goal. They go up 24-23. And then Minnesota gets the ball back. Move it here and there. 10 seconds left. Case Keenum throws up a prayer. And Stephon Diggs catches it. New Orleans cornerback, I think is Marcus Williams, whiffs on a big hit. Diggs comes down and just walks into the end zone. And Minnesota wins 29-24. They take a knee on the extra point, which apparently Vegas was not too happy with, but it is what it is. So in Minnesota, oh my goodness. Oh, the team who is outstandingly not a big fan of Minnesota because, I'm a Packer fan, and Aaron Barr is the one that ruined our season. But it actually does take one play. You can pinpoint one play to ruin the season, but that's the not stepping stone, but the domino that starts the trickling effect that shows your weakness. If you take that Jenga peg out and it starts wobbling, well, that's how it goes.
Even though the scoreboard is still up there and the game's going to go on.
Anywho, this is Minnesota's first NFC Championship game since the 2009 season, where they lost to New Orleans. And this is the Eagles' first championship game since the 2008 season. So it's been a while for both of them, and they both lost those games respectively. And let's see, appearance-wise, the Minnesota Vikings are making their 9th NFC Championship game, and they haven't won since the late 70s. And the Eagles are making their 6th or 7th NFC Championship game and haven't won since the early 2000s. 2003 was the last time. 2004 season was the last time the Eagles won, and 1976 was the last time Minnesota won. Minnesota has been 0-5 ever since. And the Vikings, they were technically the last NFL champions, but their championship does not count in the record book as a world championship. Like the Green Bay Packers have 13 NFL championships. Bears have 9. I think the Giants have 8. New England has 5. Pittsburgh has 6. And so on and so forth. And say what you will, anything that happened prior to the Super Bowl does count on the NFL side and AFL side, except for the first 4 games of that 66, 67, 68, and 69. When those first 4 of the Super Bowls, the winning teams of those were crowned and are recognized as championships. Like Packers and Chiefs played in Super Bowl I. They both won the NFL and AFL championship, but the Packers won the Super Bowl. They are recognized they were the true world champions that year. In 1969, when the Vikings won the NFL championship and the Chiefs won the AFL championship, the Chiefs Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl IV counts as a world championship, not the Vikings. Those 4 seasons were the precursor of the NFC and AFC Championship games. So we move on just a wee bit. So the Vikings have been to the Super Bowl 4 times. The Eagles have been there twice, and all 6 times they are combined 0-6. The Eagles, though, do have an NFL championship in 1960. That's the last time the Eagles have tasted glory. So it's been a few years. And like I said, the closest thing for Minnesota for winning a championship was the '69 NFL championship, but that doesn't count in the record books. And the record books is what's set in stone. But anyways, we have an interesting journey with these 2 teams, especially at quarterback. Minnesota has more of the impressive quarterback story than the Eagles. I mean, Carson Wentz was drafted last year by the Eagles after they traded up and with the Browns, and the Browns were the Browns that year though. They trade up, drafted Carson Wentz. They went 7-9 last year, I believe. Wentz was decent, and all of a sudden this year, boom, boom, boom. Eagles just out of the gate, just fly, Eagles fly. And of course, then Carson Wentz gets hurt, and they have to turn to their backup, former Philly star and former teammate of the current Minnesota quarterback, Nick Foles, who at one point threw 7 touchdowns in 1 game. But anyways, they relied to a oldie but a goodie, maybe, I guess you could say. So somewhat, sort of, but they go back to a familiar name. And all he has to do is not turn the ball over. You're not the greatest quarterback. We all know Carson Wentz is better. You're more of a backup. You're more of a, if given the time, you could be a decent starter with that defense. You have a good running game with Ajayi. I forget his name. But anyways, and LeGarrette Blount. You got great receivers in Alshon Jeffrey, great pickup, and their tight end. Man, I'm forgetting names left and right, but they're hard to pronounce. And stellar defense. So you have a stellar defense. You're doing awesome. You're doing great. You just don't turn that ball over. But you see, they were a high-power offense before Wentz went down. And now you see last week they only scored 15 points. They have been scoring lots of points with Nick Foles under center. But then we go to Minnesota, who at the beginning of the year started Sam Bradford, former Eagles quarterback, former Rams quarterback, former teammate of Nick Foles, and current teammate of Case Keenum, and former teammate of Case Keenum, and just the irony of all these quarterbacks all played for the Rams at one point or another. But Sam Bradford gets hurt. Nothing new there. Bring in Case Keenum. Case Keenum did an excellent job. Just didn't turn the ball over. Gave it, had a good running game, had decent wide receivers, and a stellar defense. And so here we are. And now, and Teddy Bridgewater last year blew out his knee. Now he's healthy, and Minnesota not quite have a quarterback question. It just depends when the offseason comes, which of those 3 are they going to keep or, find someone else. But anyways, is Case Keenum the quarterback of the future for the Minnesota Vikings? I mean, Minnesota's riding on their defense. Also, Minnesota, high draft pick. They got Kevin Cook, I think was his name, the running back from Florida State. He blows out his knee. He's done, but that didn't stop him on offense. And Minnesota, they took care of business. Their defense rode them, and once Aaron Burr, devastatingly, deliberately broke Aaron Rodgers' collarbone and took out their top rival in the NFC North, it was a cakewalk for them. And, don't know. You don't know if Aaron Rodgers didn't go down, if the Vikings would be in this situation and vice versa, the Packers would have made the playoffs. But that's more of a personal vendetta, if that, but I don't want to get that far. Anyways, so basically, Vikings, Eagles, both are defense of wonders. Last year, the Vikings started off the season 5-0. Then they had a game in Philadelphia, where the Eagles came and took care of business and shut down the Vikings. And that was the start of the trickle effect for the Vikings last year. They started off fast. They were 5-0. Then they finished, I believe, 8-8 last year, missing the playoffs and disappointing second half of the season. They bounce back, rebound, and here we are, NFC Championship game. Somebody's going to the Super Bowl. Someone's going to have a chance to win their first Super Bowl.
Certainly they don't want to do that again.
And so much emphasis placed on red zone.
It all depends on who. Now, can't lie, won't deny. I'm rooting for the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Because there's no way on God's green earth I'm going to cheer for the Minnesota Vikings. As a diehard Packer fan, there's no way I'm cheering, rooting for the purple and gold. Those purple people eaters, I'm sorry, but I just hope for a huge loss. But I don't know what I would rather see as a Packer fan. See Minnesota lose this week and take a big sigh of relief. Or Minnesota becoming the first team to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium and then lose miserably. I don't know about miserably. That would be the other question. What would I rather see, them lose a close game at the end or just get blown out? I'd rather see their hearts broken, but I know they're thinking the same way when it's I'm sure they're glad if they saw Green Bay playing in their home stadium and winning a Super Bowl, how ticked off they would be, so on and so forth. But I digress just a wee bit. So on and so forth. But not sure. Let's see. At the moment, Madden has Minnesota 27, Philadelphia 10. So doesn't look too good for the Eagles. And I'm slightly running out of things to talk about. Not like there isn't stuff to talk about. Obviously someone's going to win their first NFC Championship game. Eagles haven't won since 04. The Vikings, what did I say, 06? 76. But quickly, I know there's been some. I'm trying to think of some other NFL news. Well, I didn't mention this. On the AFC side, Leonard Fournette, he was involved in a minor car accident, but he's okay. He should be fine. And Tom Brady hurt his hand in practice, his right throwing hand. I know I should focus on that just a little bit more on in the AFC side, but forgot about that just a little bit. But on the NFC side, Adam Thielen is back at practice for the Vikings. But I think one of the major stories, is how the Vikings, Eagles, and Jacksonville got to where they're at with mediocre quarterbacks. And I'm not surprised if you have that great defense. See, I'm a more offensive-minded guy. Offense. But you need that. You need that defense. You need don't need a stellar defense, but defenses win championships. You know, when like the number one offense took on the number one defense like umpteen times in a row in the postseason or regular season, it seems like number one defense always wins.
Now the Vikings offense works their way back on the field. They're not going to play this conservative.
Philly just threw an interception. Yay.
Oh, I agree with you totally. No one goes out on the field and says,
but
right,
there's really not
certain situations trying to ice the game, that sort of deal. Most of the time it's end zone, and that's what you're thinking.
There really hasn't been that many see Vikings going for a field goal, go up by 20. I don't know. There really has been. I'm sure there's been lots of news out there, but can't say much. At the moment, Eagles doesn't look good for the Eagles. So we'll see how accurate Madden is come Sunday. I mean, I'm looking forward this Sunday. And then we more or less have a week off of football, unless you want to count the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl, I don't know about that. That's a tale for a different day, and I'm not going to simulate the Pro Bowl. I've always thought about doing the What If Bowl, having the two losers of the championship game play each other and see who, this is what we could have, but ain't going to do that. And trying to think how I want to do Super Bowl weekend. I would love to air the whole game. I was thinking about maybe live streaming it and uploading it, but I don't think so. I'm just going to stick with what has worked so far for me this year. Just, if my capturing device would make it through a 2-hour-long session, I would sim the whole, record the whole game. Might give that a shot, but we'll see. You'll see all those loyal and dedicated fans I have out there that have tuned in each week in, week out to see if Madden could predict the champion right or wrong, winners right and wrong, and hear my 2 cents on what's going on in the NFL each and every week. I mean, it's gonna be I'm gonna be so glad once the season's over. But like I said, right now I'm rooting for a Jacksonville, Philadelphia Super Bowl. We're going to have a first-time Super Bowl champion. Either if it would be that. Jacksonville is seeking for their first ever world championship. Eagles are looking for their first championship since 1960. The Vikings are looking for their first NFL championship as well, while the Patriots are trying to tie Pittsburgh with 6, and Tom Brady becoming the first player to win. Put the ring on on his right hand. I don't know which hand he had all his rings made for, but have 5 on one and 1 on the other. But don't forget, hey, Packers won 5 NFL championships in the 60s, and Bart Starr has 5 as well. So, but like I said before, it seems like anything prior to Super Bowl I, it doesn't count. But unfortunately, it does. But hey, what's this? The Eagles are fighting back. They got a touchdown. So there's still hope, right? With a minute 40 left? Sure, there's still hope for the Eagles. Not really. So at the moment, Madden likes the New England Patriots and the Minnesota Vikings. I will say, though, if it came down to that, unfortunately, I would I could just be rooting for a Minnesota loss. But what's the difference between rooting for a Minnesota loss and rooting for the Patriots is the same thing in my book. When you don't want one team to win and you don't want the other team to win, but there's the first team you definitely don't want to win, you're obviously rooting for the other team. kind of, sort of, I guess.
The result,
But
Philadelphia in the end zone.
I'm really hoping that Madden is wrong this week. I mean, Madden's got the wild card weekend right. Madden's got divisional round weekend right. No, we are doing 2 games in one, and it'll be impressive if Madden got it right. And then we go on to the Super Bowl. Minnesota looking to become the first team to ever host and play the Super Bowl in the same season. The closest it's been was when the 49ers played at Cardinal Stadium in Stanford back in, I think that was the 80s when they played against Cincinnati, maybe? I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm not exactly sure. But anywho, it will be an interesting weekend, first day. And don't know. I would love it. It sounds like the offense and defensive coordinators for the New England Patriots are just playing on borrowed time, because I think I heard Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, is going to become the new head coach for Indianapolis. And I forget about their defense coordinator. But, nothing can happen until, they're done playing the postseason. But the other question is, did they obey the Rooney Rule? Because it's just funny how Oakland is in not all this heat, but hey, they didn't obey the Rooney Rule. But the Rooney Rule, like I've said before, is good and bad. And why is it bad? I mean, it gives minorities a chance to be, get an interview, equal opportunity, this and that. Well, obviously, you see on the behalf of the Raiders, they knew who they wanted. So they just need, we just need 2 minority people to interview. Say, hey, you and you, hey, you want to become head coach for the Oakland Raiders? Let's see how you do. So, okay. Say, thanks, but no thanks. We're not interested. So, anywho, here we go. Coming down to the nitty gritty. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. Vikings win. They're your NFC champs. Madden likes it, like I said, and so forth. But anywho, only time will tell come this Sunday. I know who you're rooting for. Let's just enjoy this. Let's embrace this moment. This is the second last Sunday. There's still one more game next week, I guess. Before in 2 weeks, we're 2 weeks away from the Super Bowl, the final game of the season, and no more, real football until September. And until then, in 2 weeks, taking a little hiatus because forget the Pro Bowl. But until then, enjoy the football games this week. Hopefully your team wins, and hopefully we get an awesome matchup for the Super Bowl. So till then, thanks for watching. Bye.